Welcome to Oklahoma Real Estate Radio, the podcast for industry professionals who want to be in the know. I'm your host, Christi Gillentine, and join me as I talk to the best in our business as they share valuable market insight, offer solutions you can use now, and share local information you won't find anywhere else. Thanks for joining, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome Arlys to our show. I'm so glad that you're joining us today.
I'm so happy to be with you.
You and I go way back.
And I was trying to think of how far back it was. Was it like, because you had just gotten your license. So was that 2005?
It was 2004. Yep. And you were my first trainer. Yep.
When I was at Prudential, but I couldn't remember if you were one of the first people or one of the latter groups of people that went through our course. So.
Yeah. And you were a phenomenal trainer. You did give me a lot of foundational things. And my business partner, Ryan Treadway, he feels the same way. So we feel really blessed that we had you.
I watched you guys the time, and you all have done so well. So
thank you.
Thank you. I do this for is to help you guys get out there and start businesses for yourself so that you can be productive and happy and make good livings.
And that's why we're doing this podcast. We want to get word out to all people in the industry so that we know what's going on here and how we can best take advantage of what we have here in our local market. Let's get started. So talk to me about your real estate journey and how you got in and what brought you to where you're at today.
I've had an interesting journey. I started in 1995. When I got my real estate license. I was with McGraw, Realtors. This is short way back then. And I primarily was a buyer's agent. I was one of the first accredited buyer agents in Oklahoma. That was when it first started coming out. So I went toward the buyer agency side of the business for a number of years. Somewhere along the line, I got tapped in for education. So I became a pre-licensed instructor. I was recruited to go over to Prudential to be their education director in 2004. So I became an instructor in 2000, but I became their education director and did that through 2008. And just because of economic things, their education system went away. So I found myself as a broker for a boutique company here in Tulsa. Did that for a few years. And John Howson, J.L. Howson, wanted me to manage an office for him. So I went over and then he sold me to Sam Blake. And I ran their Sheridan office for 4 years. And then a headhunter just reached out on the clear blue sky from Nevada, and somewhere along the way, and somehow or another, he convinced me that I should move to Las Vegas. So in 2016, I went out to Vegas.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember that.
What's your Templeway office? When it was the number one office, actually the number two office in the nation for units and GCI for Berkshire Hathaway. And it was a very big office. I had hundreds of agents. It was just a really awesome experience. It was a major market, so things were very different out there. We primarily had the team concept out there, the 100% commission tables out there. So it was a very different business model that we see from the market here in Tulsa. COVID hit, and I needed to be home with my family. So here I am, and Charlton offered me a job to come manage an office, and the timing was right. So I gave up the bid and came back to a little bit smaller, more controllable world to be home. So here I am with Cheryl. We're now running the Bigsby office, and I'm running their education department for them.
We'll be in good hands with you. So that's why I like having you with us today, Arlys, because you've seen a lot of different companies in our area. And then you've also seen how real estate's done in a different market and a major market like Las Vegas. So you talked about some of the different things that realtors do there and teams do there than here. What are some of those big differences that you see?
We just really don't have a model. In Oklahoma, teams are really kind of more considered almost competition for the brokers.
Yes.
In Nevada, teams were very much the way of the business. There were very few really independent. You had independent leaders, and then they might have 20 or 30 agents underneath them. And it was just a different way of viewing the team concept. Those team leaders really became the team. They were leaders. They managed their teams. They had their assistants.
It sounds like they ran it more like a business.
They ran it like a brokerage.
Yeah.
And it's not, that concept hasn't really come into middle America yet. We do have teams here. Obviously, you're on one of the most successful teams in Tulsa. But most of the teams that affiliate here become teams that really don't have the mindset of helping agents become productive people underneath them. It's really more the idea of, I want to build a team so I can get some of their commission and make money from that. But they're not really there to help them build their own business. That's weird for people here to embrace.
I would agree. And I think that what you're talking about, Tom Ferry coined that as the minions team, the hero and the minions. So one person up top and then everybody else down here.
Really good team leader. You don't have to work your fanning off once you get a good team underneath you. You can be very profitable and really structure your day as a business. Take time off and have with your family because you've got people doing the business for you while you're gone.
Right.
There's a lot of blood, sweat, tears that goes into that. And unfortunately, team leaders have to help develop those people from the ground up as well. And that's really not what people think of as teams here. For the most part, there are some, I don't want to say none of them that way. It's not the normal type of team that we see. It's just, we just want to combine our units so that we can have higher commissions.
What do you think it's going to take to bring that kind of mentality from some of these bigger markets to the teams here in Tulsa?
It's going to take a broker that will embrace that concept.
Yeah.
And I don't know that will ever happen in Oklahoma. It's very different. We're not a major market. I know we feel like it here, but we're not a until the consumer, which is the agents, demand it.
Yeah.
It won't happen.
And they won't demand it until they're burned out.
But I don't think the agents really understand when we talk about that team mentality, what we're really talking about and how that can help you grow a long-term business that you can retire from and still have residual income or have a business that you can sell to somebody underneath you that
absolutely
literally rich.
And then it's a win-win for everybody versus a struggle. Yeah, that makes sense. Anything else that you see differently out there that could benefit us if we were doing that here?
The agents here really don't understand what prospecting means. They don't.
Yeah.
And you have to build a pipeline for your own business and generating your own leads. There are a lot of people that will sell you the opportunity to pay for leads. And they'll give you a list of names. They're selling them to multiple sources. They're digging them out of trash cans, picking up business cards off of parking lots. They're not really vetted and true leads.
Yeah.
And the reality here is the only way to sustain your business is to build a foundation of people that learn to know and trust you, and you continue to build that relationship over time so that they refer business to you. So instead of hunting the business, you're attracting the business.
Right.
And how do you offer services that get people to bring you to mind when they want to list and sell their homes? And unfortunately, most realtors just aren't either willing or too afraid to utilize the methods to get to know people. And sometimes it starts with that pretty cold call. It's just reaching out and introducing yourself. But it starts with, this is who I am.
Yep.
And I will tell you, in the major markets, the prospecting is huge. It's incredibly competitive. Where I was at in Clark County, there were 17,000 real estate agents.
Whoa.
Think about that. We had about 3 times the number of residents in Clark County that you have in the Tulsa market.
That's true.
17,000 real estate agents. And actually,
wow.
I would venture a guess that probably, and I haven't gotten the third quarter in numbers, that probably it was really going up. I think they will lose a number of them. It will be a market that's hit. As a matter of fact, it's already being hit drastically.
Our market seems to be pretty stable, even though some of the other places are seeing some changes.
We were pretty stable in 2008.
Yep.
Even when the market crashed in the big areas, California, Las Vegas was ground zero. People were selling their homes for pennies on the dollar. It wasn't until when I got out there in 2016, we were just seeing people hit the point where they were back to the point of the values being where they were in 2008. So it'd take us 8 years to recover. We didn't have that here.
No, we didn't.
Again, we are not a transient city either.
Oh.
Businesses are here. Our employment is very stable. When you live in places where people come and go, and Vegas was a transient market. You had people that came for the entertainment industry. They were there for 3 or 4 years. They left.
Yeah.
There weren't deep roots.
Gotcha.
So we just didn't have that same kind of scenario. But their values did in 2008 what they were doing here, and they were doing that in the last 2 years. They were just going straight up. And the markets can't sustain that. It makes homeownership totally unsustainable for people if we continue to do that.
Gotcha.
We want a steady increase. And that's the beauty of homeownership, is that we have equity and value growth in our homes, but it can't be so straight up and down that it knocks the first-time home buyers out of the market, which is what we see. We don't have affordable houses for first-time home buyers.
Where do you think the opportunities lie in our market for first-time home buyers right now?
It's tough. We've got to get agents that will beat the bush and go out and find homeowners, that all those type of houses that are willing to do the move out. I think we're going to see some things settle out a little bit after the first of the year. If we always have some volatility in our market during election years, I don't care where you are. Election years are always straight because everybody's, okay, what's the next administration going to go do to us? The good news is home ownership and a roof over our head is a necessity, so that's not going to go away. But there were things that either way, if it goes, could change our strategies and our cost structures and things like that. So we do have to watch that. We will be okay no matter which administration gets in there. I promise you. We're not going to go out of business as an industry. We need to find affordable housing. And in order to do that, we got to give reasons for those people to be able to move up. And those are the people we have to create the strategies for. How do we get the move up buyer to move to the next level of house so we open the fund in? Because it just doesn't exist right now.
They've got to look at all the other alternatives, whether it's probably buying down points, maybe tapping right now into your 401k, since it's probably losing some steam, and putting that into another asset.
Properties that were bought on FHA and VA loans at these very low interest rates, those are all assumable loans. So where in our time frame, assumable loans really have not been even on our radar screen. We didn't need them. The interest rate stayed low and there was no reason to compete with those. But those people that have a couple of years on their homes that bought their houses at 4%, they have a commodity they might be able to market and want to sell their home for their homes to be assumed. They have to qualify for them. It's not an easy, just have to qualify for the loan, but if they want those lower interest rates, there might be something there. It has its own particular standards. Anyone can assume a VA loan, but the veteran has to have a veteran assume it if they want to free up their eligibility to use the VA loan again.
Gotcha.
But they are there. That may be something we have to start looking at as something that we've not had an opportunity with. I think every realtor should really get a handle on what a buy down means and how that can affect their contract.
Let's talk about that. So what does that mean? If I'm somebody who's not worked a buy down or I've not seen that yet, what does that look like? What advice would you give on that?
There's different concepts for buy downs and different time frames, but the buy down will be for a certain percentage of your interest to be got down for a certain number of years, and then it will go back to the market. So like a 2-1 buy down, buy it down for 2% for 1 year or whatever that would be. And there is a cost. How much does it cost? Buy down 1% for 2 years or whatever the time frame. Got the amount that you buy down and the time that it goes for. There's also adjustable rates. Adjustable rates will adjust over a period of time. They're not tied to the basic market rates for what you pay for mortgages today. They're based on T-bills and things like that. So there's different things that they look at to base whether it
data points
over time. Those are strategies we all have to start embracing. I bought my first house in 1984. Interest rates were 13.5%. I did an adjustable rate mortgage, but I bought an $81,000 house. And my adjustment rate it brought it down to 10%. I was able to adjust it and I started at 10% instead of 13%. To people that say we've all done that, the market's different. An $81,000 loan, 10% is very different than a $300,000 loan at 10%, and the interest on that and the affordability. So as agents, we have to, I think, stop really counseling people that we've all been through it. No, we really haven't. This is really something very different because home values did this. And first-time home buyers are being hit from the values and the interest rates. Back then, they were just being hit with interest rate. So we only had one of those things pushing us down. So we are going to have to really get good financing partners and get education to it. I don't know near enough yet. It's changing every day. So I think
I agree.
Every opportunity they can to pick any financial person's brain that they possibly can. You might find something outside of the box you hadn't thought to bring to the table. That's what the consumer pays for us for. They're looking for us for those kind of help because they don't know. If they knew it, they wouldn't need us.
That's true. They're looking for us for solutions.
That's right.
What do you think about the prices here? Obviously, our prices have gone up, but do you feel like that our prices are in a fair area? Do you feel like they're overinflated? What are your thoughts?
I don't think that they're exorbitant. I don't think we can continue to do. And our prices have stabilized. They really have.
Yeah.
I would say flatline because they have not flatlined. But we stopped that overwhelming persons coming in and giving us $50,000 over list price from California because they've got sometimes more money than sense. Premium values on their homes.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that now. We're seeing sellers have to look at what is the market value of my home and be a little bit more realistic about buyers really may not be willing to take every problem in the and overpay and take the chance of being underwater for a year. So buyers are really wanting market value again. And that does not mean that sellers don't get fair prices for their homes and those values aren't really good. We just lost some of that premium pie in the sky stuff that some of the sellers were getting to benefit from. I benefited from it when I sold my house in Vegas last year. But I had to turn around and take what I benefited there and put it on the house here because I had to pay for the house here because there was nothing on the market. So I went through and I know what it feels like.
Do you feel that first-time home buyers and that entry price point, do you feel like they're going to be moving more in the outskirts areas?
A lot of the new construction is really being built toward the Coweta area, Glenpool, and the outskirts, the peripheral areas. Those, because of our highway systems now, they're really very doable for most people to drive time into work. And they're shopping, they're building amenities for people to live in those areas now. So I do think a lot of those people will be starting to spread out from the city.
So that could be a potential solution for some of these guys.
The building costs went up as well. So
they did.
It's hard for a builder to build a $200,000 entry-level home because of costs.
We've talked a lot about the values and things like that. Where do you see some opportunities for realtors, areas, niches, that type of thing in this market, whether they're looking for building their business or maybe even for investments for themselves or for some of their clients?
I think first and foremost, an agent should look to what interests them and their center, the people around them that they identify with to find their niches. I've got one young lady who is farming because she has a lender that will lend to people that are self-employed. So her focus is finding those people that are self-employed because she has lending opportunities and a lender that can help them with maneuvering that, especially some of the industries that we have here now that are hard to get lending on. She looks at that. So this is an opportunity. I have somebody that can lend to these people. So how do I market?
Our exploding green industry in Oklahoma.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's hard because of the way that money is looked at and how to qualify for a loan. And they need to buy a house and they need home ownership too. You have to think outside of the box sometimes about how to create a market for yourself. The most important thing is find something that you will really focus on and that you will take the time to engage in and actually follow through.
Right.
If it's nothing more than women that are going through divorce or maybe empty nesters or I had a group of people that did nothing but, in Nevada, that their whole market was nothing but working with parents of autistic children. And they did a tremendous amount of signals. So look what your environment is. See how that can equate to how could I market to people that I already know something about, and how could I provide services that would matter to them, that would help them with home ownership, if that makes any sense. And there's just so many.
I love that, Arlys. You said make the market for yourself, meaning don't worry about what's happening. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't want to go out. I was having a chat with one of the agents today. She's gone through a divorce and she's starting to date, and she met a guy that's riding a motorcycle, and she loves riding motorcycles. And I thought about when I got divorced, and everybody had tried to date the old motorcycles. So it's like, I would not want to go out and fight with attractive motorcyclists because I just can't identify with it. And it's the same thing with what we do in our business. If you have a passion for what you do, and whatever it is you're interacting with and engaging in, you will just be so much better. And it won't be work. It'll be more like fun. But you also know where they're coming from and how it motivates them, and what joy they get from things. So,
that makes sense. I really like that. So maybe an agent can take a look at their life and their lifestyle and figure out where is opportunities that already exist in their world. I love that.
Part of that comes from are you familiar with the ninja selling system?
Yes.
So I'm a ninja. I've gone through ninja several times. And as a matter of fact, we are bringing ninja to Chinowth and Cohen here in a couple of weeks. So we'll have a whole other group of ninjas out there. And let's come from some of those concepts. So you want to develop relationships so that you have people that know and trust you. And again, it starts from the word hello. And how do you move on from hello to know, liking, and trusting you? You engage with people that you have something in common with. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Be authentic.
Right.
Then it will just be much easier for you to connect.
That could look like different things for so many different people.
It does.
I like that. Being the fact that we're talking about the changing market and things like that, what advice would you give to somebody that is new in the industry and maybe have only seen a really good market and things being really easy, and now things are shifting very fast? What advice would you give them?
It goes back to that work prospecting. I'm sure you've seen it with some of your team members. It was falling from heaven for the last couple of years for the agents.
Oh, yeah.
They were to look for buyers. They were coming out of the woodworks. Getting sellers to list was a little more complicated, obviously. But getting a buyer was not hard. Everybody wanted to buy a house because the interest rates were low, and it made it very affordable. Now, all of a sudden, we have to have some skills. So agents need to practice. I believe that an agent really is on stage every day of their life in front of some. People are asking us questions because they really want to know an honest answer.
Yeah.
And agents shouldn't try to answer a question that they really don't understand what they're doing and talking about. And sometimes they will, because they don't want to sound like they're not knowledgeable. So they'll try to convince them, market, this has happened before. This is all. No, we have to really do our homework, get to classes, meet with lenders, with insurance people, with anyone that has any interest. Home inspectors. What are the differences in home inspection costs today versus they were?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, agents don't know some of the inspection costs went up. It's the same as it was 5 years ago. No.
Arlys, there's realtors that have been in this business for probably 2 years that have never written a TRR. And they're about to face that.
Now it's time to go back and phone in your skills, get some education, stop thinking about it from CE, learn your credit, be responsible. That first thing on our disclosure of services to our buyers and sellers is reasonable skill and care. And that comes from, we know the documents we're supposed to do. We understand the process and the red flags that are going on. It amazes me how many people don't, for instance, understand what probate is and how that affects a contract. And you'll have a new agent on one side of the transaction that listed a house, and it's the son of a mom who died, and he thinks he's inheriting the house because she left it to him, and he's put it on the market.
He can't even sell it.
But he can't because he doesn't own
Yeah.
it yet because it's got a probate. And then a buyer comes in and buys it and goes and does inspections and gets an appraisal done in the property. And all of a sudden we find this big thing. Oh my God, this thing has to probate. Buyer can't buy the house and they've incurred costs. And you don't want to be that agent. It is really time for agents to really take their education seriously and get back in and learn. Don't look at it as something that is a waste of your time. Go find good classes. And there's a lot of them out there. So I know we have a great education system where we are, and a company you work for has a great education system.
I feel like this job, real estate, either forces you to be the most growth-oriented person in order to be successful, or you're not going to get there. Like, you always have to be plugging in and changing in order to get successful and to stay successful.
Yep. And business is not going to fall or relax right now. The agents are going to have to go out and find it again. And many of them have forgotten how to do that. And many of the listing agents have forgotten how to market a house.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of them that were just going out. Here's the paperwork, sign here. We'll have an offer on it before the day is over. And there weren't even any questions being asked. Agents weren't even having to go through a process with the seller of what am I going to do to network with other agents and make sure they want to see your home. They've forgotten how. We are back in that model where they're going to have to do that.
And open houses, brokers opens are back. We're seeing that.
And even open houses have to be done differently anymore. We live in a different world. I know when I did open houses, I didn't think twice about being in a house by myself. I would never want to be in a property by myself today, full alone doing an open house. I think agents need to think about security and safety, not only for themselves, but for the whole and the home, because we just live in a world that is very different. And it's even that way here.
Yeah, I was saying you probably picked that up when you're out in Vegas.
I've seen problems here already.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I wouldn't have thought twice about it back in 2000.
I agree. Yeah.
All the time.
It does worry me when I see realtors, really pretty girls, and they have their pictures on these directional open house signs, and it feels very risky to me, for sure.
And I've got there's different philosophies on photos. I'm with you. I don't believe your photo should be on anything. I'll put it on my business card. The only place my photo is on my website. And because I do think people need to go see your picture because of that. I had a stalker early on. So I know personally how something as simple as business. I met the person. He just picked my business card. And it was scary. Because I like to never not read it. So I know it makes people think there's name recognition. They see your face and they identify, but there's a risk factor with that.
There is.
And because my nature is to be nurturing and motherly, I just would want a picture out on the street corner. So I don't feel comfortable doing that. Now, I can tell you people with my company don't see it the same way I do. And I respect their opinion of that. I just personally, from a security standpoint, wouldn't do it.
So for somebody that is doing that and wants to operate that way or does want to do open houses but feels safe, they have some options. They can take another agent with them, right? Or a lender.
You can take a lender,
an
inspector. They don't have to be there to engage with the guests for your open house. They just need to be there to watch for the safety and make certain that nothing happens, that they can just be in the background. Or they can actually be there and help you with the open house. If they're going to be talking to the buyers, then they're the guests. You want them to be licensed,
right?
To do that, to answer questions about the houses. They have a caveat. There's some resources you can do. I would say if you're going to partner up with another realtor, put a plan in place that you know how you're going to share the leads for that, and make sure it's in writing, and be very clear going in how that business is going to be split up, because I've seen friendships lost over an open house and a lead split. You don't want to do that. Friendships are about.
And sometimes, hey, they can even work a deal together, potentially. Work them all together.
It's just to find what's the next step here. They sell it, but the buyer buys this house. Who's buying that? Do we share it? If they have a house to sell, do we share that? Just sit down and put a little policy in place with each other and make sure that you agree to it. And it can be anything you want it to be as long as you agree to it.
That's good advice.
Good fences make good neighbors. good agreements make good friends in real estate.
That is so true.
So,
That is so true. Okay. Tell us, Arlys, where are you plugging in the industry, and where could agents go outside of the brokerage? What are you reading? Podcasts?
the news is a huge one. There's so much information on in the news. The National Association of Real Estate, Realtor.org, has a lot of information for us as well. I think real estate agents should, from a local standpoint, be reading your local newspaper to see what your industries are, what businesses are coming in, how that's being affected as well. Get out into community groups, any place that you can. On a national basis, because real estate is a localized market, and where natural things do affect us, we really have to pay more attention to what our local market is doing, because what's happening here and what's happening in Vegas are very different. We're both suffering from interest rate changes, but we aren't suffering here from Vegas is down about 43% this month year over year.
Wow.
So we don't know.
No.
That's the difference. So if we only look at it from a national level and you hear the national news about what's going on in California here, you think the sky is falling for us here.
Yeah.
It's not. So whatever you're looking at, whatever you're doing, make sure you look at it from a local basis as well. And how does that apply here? And is it really affecting us that way here? But from a national basis, inland news is probably one of the best places you can go. And it's a real estate resource. It's available to every agent. They can buy a subscription to it through the National Association of Realtors, and it's excellent. Everything from a newsletter to just conversational pieces that you can use as well.
Yeah, they have really consistent content too. There's always things coming out.
It's very fairly written, so it is based upon facts of what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's not colored in any way. Just here's what you need to know so that you can utilize it. Make sure you're planning it correctly.
Speaking of that, what kind of industry changes do you see coming our way? What should we be on the lookout for?
This is a difficult one for me because I think we're going to see different business models filter their way into Oklahoma. I do think we're going to see the possibility of how we market our commission structure change. We have to wait and see what the lawsuits and how those that we have for the cooperation of our commissions and those class action lawsuits and how those come down. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I do think agents should be already learning how to talk to a buyer about our commission, how we're paid, and making sure that they're obtaining buyer brokerage agreements so that they have a way to get used to if we do face this situation where it could happen where the seller pays the seller's commission and buyer pays the buyer's commission. And
that's going to be different.
It's not necessarily way up there. 10 years ago, I say, not going to happen. Today, I'd say it's not that far out there. It really could be something we face. So how are we going to work through that? It's not the market that causes an agent to fail. It's the agent's failure to maneuver the market they're in.
Yeah.
You just have to look forward and have a plan in place. And the agents that are proactive will be just fine. The agents that are reactive may have a hiccup. So it is time to start looking at what am I going to do if this happens? How do I prepare myself for that? And we don't have as much discounting going on here as we see in some of the other markets. So we're not quite as punched by that as a industry here, but it could happen when sellers are just negotiating and paying. And if the National Association loses the battle of having to publish what our full commission is, that could be a very different world for us.
It's already being published. If you look on Zillow, it's already out there. I was looking on Zillow this week and commission now.
They're publishing the cooperating brokers compensation.
Sure enough.
They're not publishing the listing compensation, just the cooperating
just the co-op.
Correct.
I don't know when they started that.
And when that starts happening, but it's never really been a mystery. People have always shared it, but it's out there. So how do you stay profitable as an agent? And it starts with, if you don't understand your value, how are you going to explain it to someone else? So agents really are going to have to hone in on their skills and understand what their value proposition is, because If I can't tell you what I'm worth to you, Christy, why would you pay me anything different than the other person that's charging something less? How am I going to do it differently for you? Agents need to learn that. They better figure it out. I think we're always going to just be inundated because people move into this industry with this idea that's glamorous and it's fun. And then they realize, so
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Agents on their money every day of the week. I can defend your commission and what you get paid all over the place. We deal with a lot and we really do matter to sellers and buyers. I just don't think most agents believe that.
They have to do some inner digging right now, really get in there and what are they bringing? What's the value? And come from contribution, right? How do I help this client hit that goal, whatever that goal may be?
They hire us to be the solution to a problem, which is how I sell my house or how do I buy a house and how do I do it without losing money on your side? That's what they're hiring us to do.
Yeah, to navigate that.
Sometimes agents don't quite understand it.
What books are you reading right now, or what books would you suggest an agent picks up? We're in Q4 here of 2022. What could they pick up right now this month?
That I think can help agents be incredibly productive. The first one is the Ninja Selling System. You can order it on Amazon. It's their Kindle. It pretty much goes through the Ninja Selling System.
Gotcha.
I think every real estate agent should read the book, The Go-Giver. It is just the first book I think every agent should do before they ever engage in real estate, because it's about value and how we offer value and understanding it. It has nothing to do with selling real estate. It's about making certain that as a service person, we're offering value and the mindset of that. And the Ninja Selling System comes from that. The other book that I think every real estate agent, if they really want this to be their business, should read the book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution.
Okay.
And it is about
that one.
So it is a great book. I've got several of them. If you want one, come by and get
I will.
You would use it. Then it's all about setting goals and holding yourself accountable. Having what we call lead measures and lag measures, and truly having accountability for that. And if you are going to build a business for yourself, first and foremost, you become the CEO of your company, and then you hire a manager for your company, which unfortunately is you as well. And then you have that hiring the employee of the company, and that's you as well. And so each of the parts are different. And we have to think about that. And every agent will say, I want accountability, but coming from the coaching perspective of having coached a lot of agents, the vast majority of agents don't want that. They won't commit. They're not committed to their careers. A really committed agent will find ways to make their business happen. They'll ask for help. They'll learn a new skill. They'll get a resource. They'll say, I don't know how to do something. How do I figure out how? Instead of saying, I can't do it because I don't know how. And they just sit around and think, somebody's just going to go knock on your door and say, I noticed, Christi, you don't know how to do this. That's not what happens in our business. And that's what the 4 Disciplines of Execution is really all about, is how do I build a business and truly be accountable for my business? It's not a fun read. It's pretty technical, but when you put that system into place, it is amazing the difference that you will have from a productivity standpoint. I worked for a company in Nevada. I worked for Berkshire Hathaway out there is who I worked for. And our owner of our company, we had what we called our WIG call every week. It was called Wildly Important Goal. And I've had 7 accountability goals that I had to report to on a WIG call at 4:30 every Monday afternoon. And I was not allowed to be not there, and I had to report. And all of a sudden, when you're reporting to your peers, I had, by the time it was over with, when I started, I had 5 people on my call with me. And when I left, because we had parts in the offices, we had to get 10 people on my call. But when you started having to say, this was my week. This week I did this on my goals. And then I had to report, next week my goals are this. I didn't want to be reporting that I didn't get my goal. So I would find a way to get my goal. So I was supposed to make 10 phone calls a day. I made 10 phone calls a day, or I would have to say I didn't make them, and I didn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
I made my calls. Because I made my calls, I reached the other goals of hiring agents and those kinds of things. It's the same thing in a real estate business. If your goal is to generate 3 listings this month, how are you going to know you're going to do that? How many phone calls? How many doors are going to have to knock? Who am I going to have to talk to get my 3 listings? And that comes from a commitment. If you're not fully committed to your goal, you won't achieve it. And sadly, most agents will say they want to make $200,000, but they won't do what it takes to make $200,000.
And that accountability is a big part of that. I just miss that.
The execution.
Yeah. Perfect.
Of holding yourself accountable.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to check that book out for sure.
I'll share it with you.
For sure. This is a challenging time. I think some people think that in this industry. I think that you and I both see it as the market is what it is, right? What something that you picked up from a challenging time in your career that you could kind of give some words of wisdom for our listeners?
Well, because I spent so much of my time counseling and coaching you guys, and it goes back to accountability. The biggest challenge that we have from a management standpoint is really helping agents to get committed to what they want to do.
Yeah.
And managers will allow somebody to sit at their desk and you say, what kind of business do you want to do next year? Oh, I want to make $300,000. What did you do this year? I sold 2 houses this year. The reality here is this. If you only did 2 this year, how are you going to get to a $300,000 commission level next year? What is your plan for that? Well, I don't know. And in getting to think through the process, so what is a realistic goal that stretches you, that challenges you, without puts you in a position of, I'm never going to achieve it anyway, so why do I care? Because then we let people set unrealistic goals for them, and we know it's unrealistic, and we don't challenge that and push back. Saying to them is, I don't believe you're going to do it either, and you don't believe you're going to do it, so no one's going to worry about it. Instead of having realistic goals of what you truly believe I can learn and do. And then if I hit it, I can stretch it. Always move forward. But you also want to set a goal for yourself that challenges you. Yes. Move forward. So you don't want to set it so low that it's not a challenge, but you want to know that it's something that you believe you can do. But the biggest important thing that agents have to do has to be yours. So when someone asks you, what do you want this business to do for you? Don't talk about what your husband wants you to do, what your mom wants you to do, what your friends think you should do. Really sit down and look inside and say, what do I want this to do for me? Because until you really know it's what you won't commit to doing what has to happen. It has to be yours. It can't be someone else's. And goals are essential in our industry.
Do you feel like agents should be goal setting every year?
I do.
And do you think that now's the time to be doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time to set your goal for next year. But I know there's going to be other brokers going to hear this, so I don't mean this to sound like what it's going to be. But agents should be in their managers' faces and say, help me.
Yeah. That's what they're there for.
You shouldn't go in and put your license and work for a broker who's not willing to sit down and help you.
Yeah.
Period. And there's way too many of them out there that won't take the time with their agents. And that just drives me nuts because we're supposed to be here to supervise and help our agents. That's what our main goal is, a broker of an office. And sadly, they won't go out and find you. You have to go out and get in their face. But every real estate agent that wants their career to be successful should be in the office on a regular basis saying, hey, look, this is what I did. I got to tell you what my success was. This is a challenge I'm having. Help them get through this. Don't let it fester. Get in there and get to your manager. And if your manager can't help you, find someone who can, because that's really what you should expect out of the broker that you work for. And I know you work for a very good broker that will help you all day long. I work with a company and an owner that's very much so centered on the agents. Not everybody has that. A lot of resources for that.
I see brokerages as the partners in our business. So being in the right partnership for your business is key, and having that support that you're talking about.
You will hire commission split, but they will not help you. There's always somebody out there that will tell you they'll give you something better and bigger. But if you're not working with a brokerage or with somebody that you trust, that you can go and sit down and very with confidence know that they're going to be able to help you grow, it doesn't matter how much commission splits you get, because you're never going to get there. You have to sell something before you get to the big dollars. So how do you get to one? Because you can't get to 10 until you can get to one. And who's going to help you with that? I just think they should. I don't think they do.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we always say? 100% of zero is still zero.
And not that I'm not opposed to 100% commission schedules, because I work for a brokerage that hit that model with it. But because it was connected with other resources and services.
Sure.
I just don't want to be that manager that has an agent that's out there saying, I don't know how to do this. I'm scared to call my manager on Anaspor. I got to set an appointment 3 days in advance to get help with something. That to me is just not acceptable.
Yeah, make sure you're in the right partnership.
I don't like keep it. And there's a whole lot of us out there that care. Not us out there that care.
I'll say this, Arlys, it's not just on the realtors right now to be improving and leaning in and doing all the things. It's on the brokers too. It's on all of us.
Absolutely.
On the industry. So, you know.
Should have their fanny and things learning from people. Education is, of course, I'm in education, regular education, but every class, everything I have designed since I've got here this last year has been really, I've gone over, how is this going to help an agent be more successful in their business? How is it going to be something that, as a manager, they could use? We're doing a probate class tomorrow. All that probate process. Obviously, the agents are struggling with it. Designing that course, and it's a very new and inventive course. Next week, if I need to find another course, I will bring it in. But managers should be in there, taking with their agents right alongside them. Because things change, and they should be talking to lenders and financial people and they should be calling colleagues outside in other areas and talking to them. I talk to people in other areas all the time. But most agents wouldn't think about talking to another agent from another company and discuss this. I think this is incredibly valuable. We're all and there's room for all of us. Yes, we're competitors, but we all have a common goal. And I think people that listen to these kind of podcasts really have that goal of being better. I don't think the people who don't want to be better listen to things like this. So we're not talking to them. We're talking to people who do.
Right. That's right.
I think it's great that you're reaching out to people from other companies to get their minds and
absolutely
things to us. I don't know.
We're in the industry together.
One squad. I don't like this much. And I'd love to know, but I don't.
Yeah, as soon as you do, something changes. So just be prepared. Yeah.
You have to stay ahead of it. So get out there and spend some of your time. Don't worry.
Absolutely. We cannot. Arlys, tell me, what does home ownership mean to you?
Oh, it means wealth. And it means pride. It is the one thing you can invest in that can grow your wealth. My son, who's 32 now, I'm really aging myself. When I was out of the valley, I was a homeowner. Ross, you need to buy a house. You need to buy a house. I don't want to own a house. I don't want to own a house. It's like, Ross, you need to own a house. And finally, I convinced him to go buy a house. So I sat down for a year to sell it to him. I had to get one of my friends to sell him a house. He bought a whole house in Broken Arrow 4 years ago and paid $117,000 for his house.
Oh, he's sitting pretty.
Today, it's worth right $200,000. Now, he used an FHA loan with a 3% down payment. He did the minimum down payment, so pays closing costs. And he sought $75,000 worth of equity at home. And he's had to put a roof on it because it needed a roof, so he's invested a little bit in the house, and he's painted. I've done a few things to it, but where else are you going to take that investment? And when he got his appraisal, when he refinanced because he had a 5% interest rate, refinanced down to 3%. And he saw his appraisal on his property. It's like, I didn't understand what appreciation meant. He said,
that's
I
awesome.
Never done that with a savings account.
That's awesome.
You can build wealth for you over time. So, but it also means it's secure. But it's where you raise your family. It's where your life is. It's where your memories are as well. And you're not giving somebody else your equity. You're giving it to yourself. As a woman, as a single woman, knowing that I can take care of myself. It's not that I don't want a man in my life, but I had one. But I don't need a man to take care of me. He would in a heartbeat and he can, but he doesn't have to. Right. I think from that perspective, that's important as well. And home ownership is part of that. But plus, you can paint it any color you want. Anyway, if you want on your cabinets for doorknobs,
You can do that. Absolutely.
That if you'd like to sell it.
I feel like you've seen that.
I always spend anyway, they're out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Arlys. This has been fantastic.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Oklahoma Real Estate Radio. If you like our show, please make sure to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite streaming device is. Also, check us out on Instagram and Facebook, and we will see you on the next episode.